Welcome once again, and this is the course on the machine learning. And I am Kamlesh Tiwari from BITS Pilani side. This is the first lecture of this particular course. I welcome all of you to this new course. And in this particular session, we are going to discuss about some introduction about the machine learning, that the idea that I have, and we are also going to see the course logistics, that how we are going to conduct this particular course. So just a quick request that can everybody write hi on the chat so that I can see that you can write the things. Okay, thank you. I got at least one response. Thank you very much. Okay. So in this session, whenever we are going to conduct the session, most of the time I like that you are interactive and you keep typing that whatever you have. So let us start our discussion from the very basic thing and from very point zero. Let me tell you one thing that is very important, that there is a website that has been set, that is a keytheory.in/ml. On this website, all the details of the course, as the course progresses, you would be able to find out. So please log in on that and fill. There is a form for pre-course survey. Please fill that form. So one thing is very important, that please go and visit this particular website regularly so that you can get all the updated information. And so let us start. The first thing that I wanted to talk about this is this, that in this particular course, however, this course is going to be mathematically heavy, and our inclination would be towards the academic rigor, so that you understand that what are the things happening, why they are happening, what is the mathematics behind them, and what is the effectiveness of those kind of application where they can be applied, all those things. Most of the courses that you find on the YouTube and other places, they actually talk from the very high level perspective and don't go to the deep. But here our focus would be to go inside the open the box and show you that what is inside into the ML systems. So that's why it many of the time it may require that you need some mathematics and other things. But I just want to tell you from this particular course perspective that never think that whenever you are coming to the class, any baggage or any other knowledge is required. Whenever there is some math required, I would try to cover that also into the lectures. So come here without any baggage. This is the first thing. And whatever the mathematical background or any background is needed, we would try to provide this in our course. Number one. Second thing that I wanted to tell you, that whenever all the lectures are generally, most of the lectures are of independent nature. Means if you are having one topic and you are attending second class, third class, some class you missed, and after that you, because of some reason, if you want to join the later classes, you come and join as a free, because they don't think that I have not attended last class, so there will be some issue. So you can, many other topics are going to be started as a fresh, so therefore you would find them interesting, and you can start as you wish. So with these two things, I just once again want to welcome you to this particular course. I'm very excited to teach you, because this is one of my favorite courses, and hope this is the same thing for you. So let us start our discussion, and let me give you the idea that why we are here, what we mean by the machine learning, why we want to do the machine learning. So all those things we want to give the understand from this particular class. So let's start by the discussion of understanding that what the computer is. So you know that the computer, if you search onto the Wikipedia, you can find out this definition, that computer is a device that can be instructed to carry out sequence of arithmetic and logical operations. So this is a very simple machine that can only what is the task, that it can only do the sequence of arithmetic and logical operation. Means what, that if you provide the sequence of instruction, and those instructions are of kind of arithmetic and logical operation, the computer can perform only this kind of thing. So very simplified kind of machine, very simple machine it is. But from the very beginning, we have seen that this machine is not that, we don't perceive this machine as a very simple machine. We think that there is intelligence inside the machine. It is going to do very magical kind of thing, and intelligent behavior it is going to show. So such a simple device, if it behaves smartly, means if there is some intelligence into the system. So from where this intelligence come? Let's assume that you have a computer, and this computer is behaving intelligently. From where this intelligence is coming? This intelligence is coming from the human, from the programmer, actually the person who has written the program. Okay, so if there is a very good programmer, he can write the program in such a way so that from outside you think that okay, the computer is behaving intelligently. But this is not actually we want. Okay, this is not we want. We want that my computer system by itself should be able to write the program. Means what? One computer is writing the program for another computer, so it can generate the programs and it can give it to the next computer, and next computer can execute. So how it is possible? So you know that these things are not very simple, and it requires a lot of other things. Also, for example, he should know, the computer should know from the experience that what is happening over there. He have to access about the things which are there, database. He have to access the database. He have to understand the labels. For example, if I have a pen, so why I call it pen to the pen? In the India, in the Hindi language, we call it kalam. Kalam and pen are both are the same thing. Okay, so what is the label? So in one word there is a associated label with all the items. So what are the items? First he have to understand what are the items. Computer need to understand. He have to understand what are the label associated with them. He have to find out that what all different kind of things are available. He have to find out, he have to see the, he have to have some experience that how they interact and what is their behavior, and based on this the computer should develop something that we call intelligence, and if he has an intelligence then he can write the code for us. So this is actually we want. But however, if you analyze from a very high level perspective that what is the artificial intelligence, what is the intelligence actually we have, because we as a people are intelligent. Okay, so intelligence, whenever I call it, whenever anybody calls as an intelligence, intelligence is actually associated with the humans. So whenever the computer shows this kind of intelligence, we show that okay, it's not actually actual intelligence. It is coming from some other phenomena by which the intelligence is shown by the machine. So we call this that the intelligence that is shown by the machine as an artificial intelligence. Okay, so a person who is actually intelligent, he can perform basically three kind of tasks. And what are those tasks? Mundane tasks, formal tasks, and expert tasks. Okay, three kind of tasks he performs. Mundane tasks are those which he performs routinely. For example, whenever in the morning you wake up, you brush your teeth. So this very simple task. You don't think that there is intelligence involved. But let me tell you that if I say that you change your hand, if you are brushing your teeth from the right hand, I say that you do it by left hand, you would hurt yourself. You would not be able to perform. So there is an intelligence, but we don't think that there is any intelligence. So formal tasks are such. Okay, sorry. Mundane tasks are such. Okay, then comes the formal task. Okay, so for example, when I'm telling something, you are understanding, all these things are also comes into the mundane task. What is the formal task? Formal task is the thing that when you understand that you are doing the intelligent task. For example, when you come to the particular class, you are seeing my lecture, you are understanding a concept, you are thinking that formally you are doing some intelligent task. Attending a class, understanding the thing, giving the examination, you understand that okay, there is some intelligence involved. You understand this. And then comes the expert task. Expert tasks are only can be performed by the people who are actually expert into the system. For example, doctor. Only doctor can give you the medicine, nobody else. So only an architect can design a building. So those kind of things. So it requires very high expertise. Only doctor can do the operation, nobody else. But if you see from the perspective of the implementation, you see that whenever you have seen a artificial intelligence based system or machine based system that can perform these tasks, you have seen that doing expert task is very easy. So you may have heard about the robot that can do the operations. So expert task, developing the system for the expert task becomes easy. Even then you go target the formal task, and coming to the mundane task becomes very difficult. Okay, so as you see that only now, even these days, it is very difficult to design the system that can understand from one language, that understand the language and give you the translation from one language to another. So these things are difficult. Okay, mundane tasks are developing the system for the artificial intelligence system for the mundane tasks are actually different. So there is also a settled notion that let's assume that you have a system and that has acquired a computer system that has acquired artificial intelligence. So how can you say that the system has actually artificial intelligence? So there is a settled notion called the Turing test. This is a special kind of test and actually nothing is defined over there. The Turing test is only just like that, that there is a room, there is a boundary, and you are sitting over here, and there is two rooms. There are two windows, and in one room there is a computer, and another room there is a human, and you are interacting with the system or human without knowing that in which room what is there. You do lot of things so to understand that is there a possibility to, can I tell that with this, with some certainty, that in this room there is a computer, or in this room there is a computer. Okay, you try to, your task is to find out in which room there is a computer and in which room there is a human. And if you cannot do this, then this system passes the Turing test. Okay, if you cannot do this, the system means system is such a smart system that you cannot do perform this operation, means you cannot differentiate between those two scenarios, then the computer is said to be past the Turing test. Okay, so ultimate objective is to develop the system such that it can pass the Turing test. However, Turing test is not, as you know, that there is no settled way to tell that how you are going to test into this particular system. So it is not reconstructible, means let's assume that you find out some way to find out, okay, in this way I was able to find out that in this room there is a computer. Next time can you use the same strategy? Answer is no, because definitely if you have exposed those strategies, then computer can learn with that strategy to fool you. So it is not reconstructible, so very difficult to define that what should be, how you are going to make this particular procedure. But notion is there that there is a Turing test, that the system having the artificial intelligence would be able to pass the Turing test. However, you know that there are there are various tasks which computer cannot do. You know that the computer cannot do various tasks. So one such example is, you know, that halting problem. You may have heard about halting problem. You know that if you give this particular problem to the computer, computer would not be able to solve that particular problem. So artificial intelligence, as I told you, that is an area into the computer science. Into the computer science domain, if you consider all the things that are done, there is some tasks which are actually related to the developing the computer systems which actually have the artificial intelligence. Okay, in this particular arena, there is some portion of this particular study is devoted toward the machine learning. Okay, and what is the machine learning? The machine learning. Now I am going to give you a very important definition, that the notion is automated learning. Automated learning means for doing an intelligent task, you can devise the rules also, you can do the search also, you can do the guess also. But if you divide the procedure that by itself try to come up with the right kind of approaches, those approaches come into this particular purview of the machine learning. So what is the ML? The understanding of ML is this, that you're not going to explicitly program the computer would try to come up with the right kind of parameter, right kind of things, and there is a sufficient mathematical background, those things come into the machine learning. So we would see these into the more detail into the coming slides. But this, into the artificial intelligence domain, there are many things, and out of them some things are related to the machine learning. Okay, and into the machine learning, there is a small subdomain that actually recently has been very much popular, you know, called deep learning. And what is the deep learning? Deep learning is actually having the neural network based systems that can that are nowadays found to be very effective in solving many of the problems. So this is what the ultimately complete solution, that if you see this particular diagram, you'd be able to understand that what is the place of machine learning inside the computer science and inside the complete scientific domain. So if you have any questions, please keep typing. I can try to have that. So as we have discussed just now, that computers are a very simplified device that are used to solve the computational problems. Okay, computational problem is the problems where you need some kind of computation. For example, sorting, given the items you want to arrange them into increasing order or decreasing order. Searching, given a list you want to find out whether a particular item exists or not. Determining the existence of the Hamiltonian circuit in a graph, or Euler walk, you want to find out, given a circuit you want to find out what is a Euler walk. So all these things are settled computer science problems where computer has been applied to find out the solution. You know that how to solve this kind of problem. We know we know how to solve these problems. Okay, because given a graph, you can write an algorithm that can solve this. Then you can write a program for that. You know the algorithm, then you can write a program. But for some of the problems, some problems are such that we don't precisely know. We don't know that how to solve these particular problems. For example, if I give you an image and I ask you that is there a cat into the figure? Very difficult to tell. Okay, no. What do I mean by very difficult to tell? That you can tell it very easily, but you cannot tell that how you have solved this particular problem. For example, you are sitting into the room and your friend comes. You recognize that okay, he's your friend. How you are recognizing this? Can you tell me that how you recognize this? What is the procedure? You have seen him. Then what processing happens in you? So you don't know about that. So sometimes there could be two different scenarios. Either we don't know that how to solve the problem, or we are not able to specify that what is the solution. Another problem, let's see another problem. What is written on the board? Okay, for example, here is a board and I write this I write this. Okay, what is written on the board? Okay, so somebody may be thinking that it is nothing written over there. Okay, because you don't know. For example, let's assume this, what is written over there. If I write the first, if I ask from the first thing, somebody may tell that it is alpha. But what is this? You cannot tell. But let's assume that there is some language. If you have not known about the Greek things, you may not be able to tell that this was alpha. You are knowing this Greek thing, then that's why you are telling this. But if you don't know those things, you cannot tell that what is over there. Similarly, if I into the same line, if I ask you that what is this, you would not be able to tell. But whether it is not written anything, so answer may not be clear to you. So that's why in these scenarios are very difficult to solve. Okay, next problem, you can think that how to ask a help from a foreigner. Look, it is also a very constructive kind of problem. How to ask help from the foreigner. You are very difficult to specify these kind of problems. So this actually the broad category is this, that there are two things that either we don't know that how to solve, okay, or very difficult to specify. But you are not able to specify the solution procedure. If these kind of scenarios arises, then you go for the machine learning. Make sense? So this is the answer for this question, that when we apply the ML, you apply the ML if either you don't know that how to find out the solution, or it is very difficult to specify. Then you apply ML to find out the solution. The similar kind of problem, let me go into some kind of history. So around 1956, Arthur Samuel, he actually wanted to he wanted to make a computer program that can play checkers. Okay, checkers is a game. So the program should able to play checkers with him and should be able to defeat him. So he thought that why I am doing the programming for these why I am writing the rules for all these things, all the scenarios. Why not the computer by itself have two components and try to interact with each other and try to discover that what is the right kind of thing, and learn by itself. It can learn by itself that what is the right moves. So with this idea, he have developed the system, and around after a few years, I think 1956, after 6 years, the computer won over the human player. The system won over the human player. With this kind of idea, because of this kind of idea, he is called the father of machine learning. So interestingly, what idea he have proposed is this, that this is the field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. I mean, I have not written the program, but computer was by its own able to learn. What do I mean by learning? That is also an important thing. What do I mean by learning? Learning is a process by which a system improves its performance from the experience. Okay, means it is initially when the system starts, it is performing something, but after when he plays multiple games, its performance actually improves. Make sense? Okay, if you want to find out a formal definition, so this is the definition given by the Tom Mischel, and the definition is this, that you actually, what does it mean? That there is some task that you want to perform. Okay, what is that task? That let's assume the task is playing Play checkers. Okay, play checkers. So this is the task. So what is the machine learning? We want to see the definition of machine learning. It says that there is some task. We are talking about the machine learning with respect to that task only. Okay, and there is some performance measure P. Performance measure. So what could be the performance measure of this particular checkers playing game? You see that what is the percentage of game won. Okay, this could be the performance measure. All of you would agree that if we plays thousand of game, what percentage of game it wins. So there is a game, and there is a performance measure. These two things is clear to you? Any questions on that? Any questions on that? Can you write no? Yeah, or yes? Whether these two things are clear? There is some task and there is a performance measure. Can anybody write yes? Yeah, thank you. Please type. Please keep typing. Okay. So these two things are there. Then the system improves itself by experience. What is experience? Means it does something so that it becomes better. The system plays multiple games. For example, experience is playing multiple games. System is playing multiple games. Okay, there is something called experience. What is experience? Playing multiple game. What is the experience? Play multiple games. Okay, by this experience, what would happen? This P increases, P improves. Make sense? So any questions? That there is a task on which you can measure what is the performance. Yeah, with the experience, when the game is played multiple number of time, your performance improves. Make sense? If this happens, we say that it is a ML system. What is ML system? In the ML system, there is a task on which we can measure that what is the performance, and as the experience is given to the particular system, it actually improves its performance. Make sense? Let us read this definition. Said to learn from the experience, my system is learning from the experience with respect to some task T and some performance measure P. If its performance on the task T as measured by the P improves with the experience E. Okay, this is the definition of the machine learning. That if a machine learning system is there, then its performance is going to improve. The performance of the T is going to improve with the experience. Make sense? Any questions? Can you type yes? Any questions? No? Where are all of you? No. Okay, please. Okay, thank you. Very important definition. Okay, so please note that into the general scenario, that the performance of an algorithm, as we are talking about, is only doesn't only depend upon the kind of learning kind of algorithm that we are going to use. It also depends upon the training data, how good the training data is, and what is the training methodology, means how you are training the system. So it also depends on those things. And this particular diagram actually try to see you that the same person is going to wear these two shirts, and you know that if he wears the shirt 1 as compared to the shirt 2, the performance would be different. He would be looking different. So maybe in one shirt he is better than the other. It is a meaning of data. Now the question comes that why we are talking about the machine learning in a very great enthusiasm these days. Why we are talking a lot of focus is there on the machine learning these days. The reason is that now these days we have lot of data and lot of compute power. Earlier it was not available. In 1 minute, lot of tweets, lot of YouTube data, lot of Instagram data, so much data is available. So if you want to see that what is the rate of the data that is coming to us, you can see that the 90% of the data that we have is generated in the last 2 years, and 80% of them is actually unstructured data. Lot of data, whatever amount of data you can assume, 80% of the data is only generated in the last 2 years. So we are not only we are going to acquire a lot of data, but also we are going to have the data with a lot of force also it is coming. So if you have a data, what you want to do the classification, you want to do the regression, you want to do the clustering, association rule, mining, sequence discovery, multiple things you want to do. What are these things? We will discuss in some detail. So essentially what I wanted to tell you that if you want to perform some of the tasks using the machine learning, the task could be two kind. Either you want to do a predictive task or you want to do the descriptive task. Predictive task means that whatever data you have, you are going to learn from that, and you are focusing on the new. Whenever a new data item is coming to you, you are using all these things to focus on the new data item. You are going to learn, and you are going to focus that what should be the what we can say about the new data item. So this is what the predictive stream says. In the descriptive task, you actually, whatever data you have, you want to describe this particular data, means how good this particular data is. So let us see some of the tasks were predictive and descriptive. Into the predictive, you see the classification. Okay, you can do the classification, means this item is what kind, and these things would come again into the next slides in more details. You want to do the classification, you want to do the regression, time series analysis, prediction. In the descriptive analysis, you want to do the clustering, summarization, association rule mining, and sequence discovery. So next slide would give you more information. For example, the classification. So classification is a very important problem. Okay, but the classification, there are predefined classes. Okay, what is the classes? For example, this lady is inside a say shop, and he is trying to buy some item. Okay, apple. So what are the two class? Yes or no. He want to take it or he don't want to take this particular apple. Okay. So what are the two class? The predefined. So in the classification, labels are predefined, that I'm going to take it, yes or no. So predefined labels. What are the labels? Yes or no. With every apple, she want to attach a label yes or no. For the apple, where the label is yes, she want to take it. Okay. So how she is doing? You can see that she is smelling. What is smelling? Smelling is feature. Okay. Smelling is a feature. Smell is a feature. She want to find out that how good this particular apple is, and then based on that, she would attach a particular label to that. Okay. So if there is some item you want to do the classification, what you have to do, you have to find out the feature, and based on that feature, then you do something to attach a particular label. So this is what my problem is. Once again, label need not to be only two, it could be more also. Okay. For example, there are let's assume that you have images in your pen drive, and you want to tell that whose image is it of my papa, is it of my mom, is it my sister, is it of image of me. So here also, how many peoples you are going to consider? They are finite, predefined, and they are labeled that these are the things, these are the peoples who are actually there. And for a given image, sometime as here, multiple labels you can assign that these are the label. Okay. But in the classification, always remember that this list need to be predefined, okay, and fixed. Labels need to be predefined and fixed. One more problem, that lot of email are there in my email box, and can you tell me that which are them of spam? How to find out? This is called the spam filtering. You want to tell that these are bad, these are good. So again, we have to find out that there is some feature, and feature could be an assumption that some words appear more or less frequent in the spam mail, and based on that you want to do the classification. So hope the idea is clear to you. Things would come into greater detail into the subsequent classes. Again, we want to find out another task that we want to do is the regression. And into the regression, what does it mean? That you want to get the variable value, okay, real value. You want to find out a value out of that, and you know that value cannot be fixed, because you cannot tell that only these values, out of these values I am going to pick something. For example, if there is a house, so, and you want to find out that what is the cost for that particular house, what should be the right cost for this particular thing. So you have to find out, you have to do something, you find out some specific thing. For example, what is the location of that particular place, what is the plot area, how many rooms are there, whether garden is there or not, how old it is, and even current economical conditions, such as if there is a demonetization or what is the COVID situation. Based on that, the house of room is rate of your cost of your house is going to be decided. So in this particular image, you can see that there is a person trying to do a bargaining and trying to find out what is the right value. So here the value is, there is a real value, and you cannot tell that only these fixed values I am going to consider. Okay, so regression is finding out a value. Time series analysis, you know that there could be a stock market that is a volatile. You want to find out that this is going to happen, and after some time, what would be the value of this particular stock. Prediction, a very important thing. Prediction is something that when there is a series, you want to tell that what is the value that is going to be here. Can anybody tell what is the value over here? Can anybody type what should be the value? Can anybody type? 12, correct. What should be here? Can anybody tell? Okay. Can anybody tell? 11. Okay. And this is another series. Consider that 10 July it was raining, 11 July it was raining, 12 July no raining, 13 July what is going to be here? Yes or no? Yes or no? Can you tell me? Okay. Yes or no? No answer? Cannot say? Okay. Cannot tell. All right. Thank you. Actually, you cannot tell here, but you may think that rain, no rain. You can tell anything. But the point is that you cannot tell this thing. Why? Because the item you want to tell that what should be there. And what are the item? 10 July, 11 July, 12 July, 13 July. And 10 July doesn't mean that there is a rain. If you want to find out the relationship between 10 July and rain, you cannot find out this. You have to tell that what was the humidity, what was the temperature condition, what was the wind scenario. Then if I provide these data, then you can tell that there would be rain or not. So similarly, 10 July, 13 July is not a right kind of data. The data should be a different data on which this thing need to be decided. So you understand that what the prediction, if right kind of data is given to you, then you can perform the prediction. Okay. Next thing is a clustering. For example, if I mix these two things and I give you, and I can tell you that, can you analyze and tell me that how many different items are there? So you may be coming up with the two things, and you can tell that looks like that the two kind of things are there. So this is for the description of the thing. So what I told you, that I give you a box where all these grains are there, and I ask you, can you describe? Then you would find out two different things. You can tell that these two things are there. So looks like I can describe using two things. This is the clustering. And if I say you that, can you give me 4? The answer could also be yes. Then you would inside you would you find out the more good things and less smaller grains and bigger grains. Here also you can find out that this grain is not that good as compared to this grain. So you can here also you can divide that black grain but of good quality, black grain of bad quality, white grains of a good quality, white grains of the bad quality. Then you can find out 4 also. So in the clustering, sometimes we tell that if we want to describe the data, we can tell that looks like that there are 4 different things. Can you tell me that who are the items belonging to which category? So the supervised, it is an unsupervised setting. That is a very important word, unsupervised setting, unsupervised learning setting, where you are actually not telling that for any other item, you are not telling that what is the right thing. And the system by itself try to come up with the right kind of descriptions. Okay, I'm very sorry. Okay, so sorry for the disturbance. So what I was telling, that it is unsupervised setting where right answers are not provided. So let me just go back and into the classification. I should also tell this, that this is the task of supervised learning. Classification is a task of supervised learning. What is the supervised learning? Supervised learning is this, that for some of the, how can you attach a particular label? Okay, if a lot of mangoes are there and you want to attach that I am going to buy this mango or not, Then for some of the fruits, you are going to tell earlier that I am going to buy this and not buy this. Some of the fruits you are earlier told that you have to buy this, you don't have to buy this, you have to buy this, you have to not buy this. Using this kind of information, you develop something. When a new item comes, then you tell that yes or no. Okay. So supervised setting is this, that for some of the things you are told that what is the right level, and for the new item you actually want to tell that whether you should take it or not. So into the unsupervised setting, for no item you are going to tell this particular information. Okay. Okay. Then we talk about the summarization. Summarization is something that you, from for a lot of data, you want to extract some of the important conclusion. For example, if I give you a lot of information, and sometimes you can say that this you can write a small stories out of that. Okay. So there are some important concept, a lot of things. If a lot of things are there, you want to find out that what are the important concept over there, and based on the important concept you want to develop something. For example, if you want to compare two universities, how would you compare that? So instead of using all the information, you just see that what is the average JE rank of the student who are getting admission, average number of publications that the faculty have, student faculty ratio. All these things are small things. Means given lot of data, you come up with this small number, and then you combine them in some way, then only you can provide that what is the summarization over there. Another idea is association rule mining. That is very important into the data mining domain, where you let's assume that you have a departmental store. You want to tell that if somebody purchases the item A, most of the time he also purchases the item B. So these two things are related. For example, in your shop, if somebody comes to purchase milk, okay, most probably he would also purchase a bread. Okay. So if you see that another item, for example, in your shop, let's assume that there is some item, say what I say, bed sheet. Okay, let's assume in the shop bed sheet are also there. So somebody coming to purchase the milk, is he going to purchase the bed sheet? Most probably no. But if there is another item like pillow cover, okay, then if somebody purchases bed sheet, most probably he would purchase the pillow cover. So these things are related. So sometimes we want to find out what is the association between the items. If lot of transactions are given to us, we want to find out that which items are actually associated. So we can take a lot of advantage of that, because if you in your shop, if you are only having the milk and you are not having the bread, then most probably the person is not going to come to your shop. So you have to have both the items. Okay. Sometimes you want to do the sequence discovery, that I tell somebody is coming on this website, then he is going to see another website, and at the end he is going to read something. Then definitely you want to find out is there any pattern over there. So into the very broad perspective, if you want to understand that what are the different learning scenario. So one scenario that we have just talked about, the supervised learning scenario, where we right answers are provided by some teacher. Somebody is there that provide you the right answer, and based on that, then you perform some kind of classification task. Unsupervised, such as clustering and association rule mining, here right answers are not provided. You have to discover from the data. Semi-supervised, where the that here lot of data items were there for which the right answer were provided, but it may also be possible that the data item is there but right answer is only available for some of them. Then it is called the semi-supervised thing. Active learning is another method that actually tells that I would not provide you any right answers, but you can ask that whenever, for example, you go to the shop and you have to purchase the apples, then what you do, that you pick a particular apple and ask from your mom, should I buy it? She tells okay, yes, and or no. Then based on that, whenever you have a confusion, you can ask from your mom, and otherwise you develop your understanding that okay, I would do these kind of things. So what would happen, that if you are allowed to ask the question, you can only ask the questions where you have a doubt. But if somebody is teaching, then he would be teaching a comprehensive thing that he may be taking a lot of time to teach you. But if you can ask the question, only asking the places where you have a doubt, with the less number of training example, you can perform the very good task. Okay, then comes another kind of learning that is called the lazy learning. Lazy learning is telling that I would not learn anything. Whatever data is given to me, I would just put into my store, and whenever a need arises, then I would go and do some kind of consolidation and give you the answer. So lazy learning is actually not learning at all. So in all the cases when I was learning, actually, I was meaning that whenever data examples are given, then I come up with some of the parameters, and these parameters I'm going to use whenever new data is coming over there. Means what? That at the time when a new item comes, I need not to go to this particular data. Okay, only this whatever I have extracted, that is important for me. So lazy learning is a thing that actually tells that no, I would not do any kind of consolidation. I would use complete database every time. Reinforcement learning, that is a hit and trial based method where a person actually want to do explorations to find out the right answer. Transfer learning, when important arena where actually uh, where you um, where you want to learn task B, okay, to do A. For example, if you want to ride bike, you learn how to ride cycle. Okay, if you want to ride bike, you learn how to ride on the cycle, and then the learning that you have on the cycle, you can apply it to the bike also, means balancing and some kind of thing. Then comes the deep learning, that is a very niche area these days. People are talking about a lot about this. Here we do a brain like processing, and we would seeing much into the detail into the when the time comes. Whenever you are developing a system, you have a challenge that how good the model is. What is the model? Once again, let me tell you that we have a data, and with this particular data, whenever you have a data, you create some kind of understanding out of this, and this is called the model. And then you apply this particular model to a new item. Make sense? What is the model? That whatever understanding you derive from the data. Okay, so whenever you are having to going to develop a particular model, you have to understand that how good this particular model is, and you can use the various metrics such as accuracy, CRR, ER, all these things we'll discuss in detail into the few next classes. And how do we choose a model? Means multiple models are there: decision tree, SVM, neural networks, etc. Out of this, which to choose? I have enough. Do I have the enough data? Do I have the more data, or should I do the pre-processing or augmentation? Whether my data is of sufficient quality, how confident I am with the result, can I get a probability, am I describing the data correctly, how fair the system is. This is also very important, the fairness into the system. What is the fairness? That you know that if let's assume that I am going to develop a face recognition system, okay, and this face recognition system has been trained on the people from the Europe, okay. If I apply this particular face recognition system from the people from Africa, what would happen? The system would not be able to recognize those peoples, because all the peoples were here fair and here peoples are dark. The system would not be able to work. So therefore this system is not fair for the peoples from the Africa. Okay, so to make the system fair, you should take some measure so that the system should behave well on both the classes of the people. Make sense? Sometimes you can tell that, can I make a best machine learning model? The answer is no. There is a thing called the no free lunch theorem that tells that there is no best model. If there is a data A, look, if there is a database D, okay, on this two algorithm you want to test, okay, A and B, and you see that the accuracy of A is greater than of B, okay, so which algorithm is better? A. But we can find out another database D dash where accuracy of B is greater than A. We can always find out this particular carefully selected example. So this cannot be always possible, okay. However, we know that however, we can say that this particular D dash, that database that I talked about, that if you consider all the databases, the D dash is very small. For example, D dash is very small, and most of the area is of the data that is of the kind D. Okay, so mostly you can tell that, okay, most of the time this algorithm is better, most of the time A is better than B. That is fine, okay. Okay, so you can tell that model A could be better than model B on huge variety of the practical problem, but not always. Okay, but not always. There are a lot of applications of the ML: spam filtering, speech, handwriting recognition, so many. You just talk about anything, lot of applications of the machine learning. Everywhere machine learning is applied these days. Some of the success stories that I wanted to tell you. A very important development that happens very recently into the November 2020. What happens? You may have seen heard about the AlphaFold 2, that was actually able to solve a very long standing problem of finding out the 3D shape, of proteins, or from given its amino acid sequences. If I provide the amino acid sequences, then can you tell that what is the 3D shape of this particular protein? Very interesting discovery. And let me tell you that how people are actually solving. 2 years back, the accuracy was near about only 40. People were only talking of 40 to 50%. Means this was the for very long. From 50 years, people were only till only 50%, less than 50% of the accuracy. But last year, when this AlphaFold came, AlphaFold first increased this accuracy to 87.9%. Around 40% they improved to 87.4%. And this year, into the November 2020, they have developed a system that has accuracy of 92.4%. That is very high. And this kind of system is going to give you this type of system is going to give you very important things into the discovery of the uh, for example, when you want to find out that what is going to happen with these kind of vaccines, so those kind of things are possible with these kind of developments. You may have heard about that there was a computer called Deep Blue that has actually was able to defeat the Gary Kasparov in 1997. And he actually was able to win over the Gary Kasparov. Means the now the computer can play the game. Very difficult game was the game of Go. And AlphaGo was a system that was developed that was able to defeat Lee Sedol, who was actually the very top ranked player in 2016. So very hype news these were there. The computer can play game. ML based system can play game. You can see that a lot of people are talking about Waymo and other systems where automated car are coming. Automatic signal determining that what is the signal onto the road signboard. So there is a German traffic sign recognition benchmark database. And here the human, if I show these images to the human, he have accuracy of 98.84%, but the computer has accuracy of 99.46%. Means the computer has a better accuracy. This is another example where Google Map actually was used to find out the street view images. And in the street views images, given this image I want to write 61, and given this thing I want to write 10, 100. So if I want to write these things, so if I give this thing to a human, it is going to take a lot of time. But into the France, all the streets, the system was applied to write the things. And within 2 hours it was able to solve all this, to write all these things with a 100% accuracy. So the computers are very fast. And look, this particular example where this is the search Baidu search engine, that Chinese search engine, where I have given this image to search, and the system was able to produce these images. And you can see that in all these images there is an elephant is seeing into the front. There is a same kind of background which I have given. So all these things are actually being taken care of. Given the image, can the computer write some of the story that what is happening over there? So it is also a very seminal celebrated paper from CVPR few years into 2016 around. So this now the system can see that what is inside the image, it can describe something. And the problem where the person have some kind of problem into some tissues has some kind of issues, and someone want to tell that with a very high accuracy that which are the tissues we have the problem. So and want to predict that what is the survival rate of the cancer suffering. So the system was able to achieve the high accuracy as compared to the humans. And here, given the images, we want to find out where is the where are the places where there is a bad pixel. This is a segmentation problem where neurons are there. We want to do the segmentation. All these things are very easily done. Next problem is the finding out the telemedicine, finding out the medicine for a person. So what happens that when somebody goes to the doctor, he is interviewed with the computer system, and computer system try to understand that what the problem you have, and then it consult a big database where the similar kind of people having several kind of problems, what was the treatment given, and then it come up with the right kind of prescription, that these may be the prescriptions that is could be given to him, and this prescription is submitted to the doctor. So when the time when the person goes to the doctor, he also have a lot of analysis done, and then very easily he can find out the right kind of treatment for him. So all these things are the success stories, and you know that if these four important capabilities if the computer have, so we do 80% of the task. Humans do 80% of their task with these four kind of capabilities. What are these capabilities? Reading and writing, speaking and listening, looking at the thing, and integrating knowledge. So we have seen that all these things are computer are very near to perform these kind of things, and therefore computer would be able to achieve all these things with a very high accuracy very soon. You know that as the time increases, the humans are also becoming better and better, but the machine was initially very small, very bad, and but his intelligence is going to grow exponentially. We are right now here, and in the very short amount of time this would actually go up, and therefore the better system would be there. Into the industrial revolution, what happens as the time increases, the system actually are more people using more and more system. Then after that saturation comes. For example, any industry, saturation comes. But this is not going to happen with the ML system, because better system is going to make the better system, and therefore exponential growth is going to be guaranteed, and the better system are going to come to us. Many of the famous quotes that you can read, that a breakthrough into the ML would be worth 10 Microsoft. Bill Gates have seen, and similarly, many people have told these things with a very high uh, excitement. So these things are there. Let us just quickly talk about that. What is the goal of this particular course? We expect that at the end you would be able to get the bigger picture of the ML, how various algorithms work, implement them by your own, identify the problems where ML can be applied, and capable enough to apply available tools to solve some of them. So this time we are going to do learning by doing. So a lot of things we are going to do so that you are capable of performing these things and applying these things into the various domains. Please note that whenever we are going to talk about any other submission, until explicitly it is said, you have to do it independently to learn. Okay, you cannot copy from anybody, any other internet resources, or from your friends. Two copies matching with the same answer would definitely get the 0 marks. Let us talk about some of the components that we are going to have. You know that the mid-semester test and the comprehensive test, they are going to be 35% and 25%. That is going to make the 60% of the course. Then there would be lab, and into the lab you have to do the submission. There would be a problem given to you, and these problems are going to be very interesting. Most of the time you can see that people are talking about these problems outside, and we would be providing you that how to solve those things. So 10% is going to be weighted for that. And what is this? That we are going to conduct 14 labs. Okay, we are going to conduct 14 labs. So 7 before mid-sem, and 7 before, roughly 7 after mid-sem. So you can ask any 3 or 4 from here, any 3 and 4 from here to be checked. So out of 7, you can ask 7 to be evaluated. You can tell that I looks like that I have solved this problem efficiently. You can mark that that check these 7 of my problems, and out of them 5 best marks into the 5 best is going to be counted, and 10% is going to be credited to that particular part. Next component, that is going to be assignment. Two assignment that are going to be very simple kind. Actually, we want to tell you that this is needed because into the scientific domain, people are actually, whenever they write something, they write into the LaTeX. So I want you to learn this particular thing, LaTeX, and also you should be able to describe the thing, because you are learning something, and then there should be a capability to describe those things. So there would be a topic given to you after the mid semester. So this particular thing would be before mid semester. This assignment would be after mid semester. 2.5% means 5 marks only. So here into the latex thing, you have to learn that how to write the latex. Some problem would be given to you. You would be creating a document, and next thing is that is note scribing a particular topic. For example, SVM is given to you, and then you would be writing that explaining this particular what is SVM by in your own word, okay, and submitting this 2.5%. So very simple thing. So this is the another part. So we have talked about comprehensive exam, mid semester, lab tests, assignments, and there is very important part. Let me tell you that this is going to be one of the most learning part. 15% and 10%. What they mean? Class project and the term project. So first, let me talk about the class project. Class projects are going to be 4-5 small problems for which you are going to collect your data. You are going to collect your data. Some problem would be given to you. Explanation would be provided by us. All the help would be provided from our side. We would provide you the code. We would provide you the tool to collect the data. You would be collecting the data, running your model, writing your report, evaluating your things, and writing your report. So few problems would be there, 3-4 problems would be there. On these problems, you'd be collecting small data, and it is going to be class project. Mean what? Because everybody would be given this task to do. Okay, so for example, there are 100 people in this particular class. So everybody, if collects the data of the 5 people, so overall into the class we get the data of the 500 samples. This complete data would be available to everybody, and you would be running your model on the complete thing. That's why it's a class project, because for every problem everybody would be participating, collecting the data, and then all the data is given to you, and on that data you would be running the model, writing the report, evaluating the things, and learning over there. So you would be solving interesting problem over here. 3-4 problems would be there and would be solving over there. Turn project, and this is what actually we want to show you. We want to tell you that what is happening right now into the research domain. That's why there is this term project comes. The purpose of term paper is to give you a list of the recent research papers. You have to read that and you have to present. Okay, do some experiment if possible. What if you like, you can do some experiment and present that what is into that particular thing. So your understanding, your presentation, you can pick whatever paper is good to you. We would be giving a big list to you of the papers, and out of those papers you pick any and present. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for joining, and if you have any questions, I'm open to that. Please ask any questions if you have.